Pizza Jaffa's orange grows. Microchips is us. iPhone cameras us. Taco salads us. Dodavabanos us. Olive Garden us. White phosphor us. Sabra Hamas. Hezbollah us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bad Hasbara.
הפודקאסט הכי מוסרי בעולם.
Very good. My name is Matt Lieb, and I will be your most moral co-host for this podcast.
שמי דניאל, אני ה-host, co-host אחר, הכי מוסרי. That's me.
Yep.
I gotta bust out the ulpan shit every time we have an Israeli-born guest.
Yeah.
Gotta do it. I can't stop it. You can take the guy out of the Zionist summer camp. You can take the Zionism out of his frontal lobe, but somewhere in the back, he wants to please the Israelis by letting them know he fluently speaks the Ivrit.
Right, but you cannot take out his deep insecurity at the thought that he's speaking to someone who knows more Hebrew than he does.
That's correct.
Thank you all for joining us for another episode. Please give us 5 stars and a review on all of the podcast apps that are available. Also, subscribe on our YouTube. If you haven't done that, then I'm officially mad at you. YouTube.com/@badhasbara. You can search for it. You'll find it. It's the show that you watch. Also,
yes. Come there on Tuesday for our live stream with Nora Erekat.
That's right.
We're doing
this
a
Tuesday.
fundraiser.
Yes, we're doing a live stream fundraiser with Nora Erekat. It's for the Gaza City Flower Fund again. This is the same fundraiser that we did last time with Mohsen. He and Harley have been doing great work, and we just did another live stream for them for the Do Not Worry podcast.
Anthony Sargon did a 9-10 hour, talk about a try hard, huh? 12-hour stream.
We're gonna do a solid hour 45 because
we're gonna raise as much or more money than them because that's how we do.
Are we? I hope so.
Not that it's a competition.
It's not a competition, but also it's a competition. Help us
if we
win.
pretend like it's a competition, then more people in Gaza get to eat. So
that's right. Exactly. Gamify this nightmare that we live in. Still tickets left for October 13th at the Bell House. Please see Daniel and I and my wife Francesca Fiorentini and more. Buy your tickets now. Today, this episode is brought to you by, of course, Gaza City Flower Fund. The Gaza City Flower Fund is raising money to feed up to 250 families in and near Gaza City with 2-kilogram sacks of flour purchased at disaster premium prices and given directly to hungry families. That's the donate link. You can donate now, do it, and also donate again on Tuesday when you watch the live stream. Please.
For our listeners, that's bit.ly/Gaza Flower Fund.
That's right. Thank you so much. Daniel, what is The Spin?
Well, our guest today has a book out called The General's Son.
That's right.
And inspired by that title, I picked some songs and albums that have the word son in the title.
Oh, I thought you were going to put
this
general in there.
No, I don't have general.
It's not too many songs about generals in general, you know?
Not too many songs about generals in general, yeah. I'd have to think about that one. But this one is the most thematic of all of them. It would be Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR, with the song Fortunate Son, which includes the line, it ain't me, I ain't no military son.
That's right. That's right.
And then I got Nirvana's Incesticide album, which has 2 songs with son in it, Being a Son, which is an original, and Son of a Gun, which is a cover.
Oh, look at that. I love that album. It's like it's all their old collected B-sides, right? I mean,
but like kind of produced in a slightly more glossy way post Nevermind.
Right.
I like it better than In Utero, frankly. In Utero doesn't quite work for me as an album. I like it, but it's just so...
It's kind of a mishmash.
Bleak. It's a bit of a mishmash, Iron Maiden, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
There we go. Yes.
This is the 3rd Sondheim musical that I'm putting on The Spin. A Little Night Music, which is where the song Send in the Clowns comes from. But there is a great song called The Miller's Son, which is a song about both sex and social class.
Oh, okay. I thought you were doing it just because his name is Sondheim and has son right there.
Exactly. Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
He got Sondheim. And he's a Jaime.
Ah, fun.
From Jaime Town.
Was that a real slur, or was that just like this whole time I've been like, I've still never been, I've been called every single slur under the sun. I've never been called a Jaime.
I think it was a slur at a certain moment in a certain context, because I know that Jesse Jackson slipped up and said it at one point, which led Eddie Murphy to do a very funny kind of slow jam SNL parody song called "Don't Let Me Down, Jaime Town."
Oh, okay.
Or was something like that?
You take me to Jaime Town. That sounds like fun.
No, it was an original. It was great.
That's great.
And then finally, Run DMC with the album "Raising Hell," which has the little ditty "Son of Byford." I was born son of Byford, brother of Al. Jay is my partner and runs my pal. It's McDaniels, not McDonald's. The rhymes are Daryl's, but the burgers are
McDonald's.
Ronald's.
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's the spin.
That's great. Well,
and Matt fucked up at the end.
I didn't know this. I didn't know where we were going with it.
You don't rhyme McDonald's with McDonald's.
I stopped listening while you were doing it. Oh, you expect me to pay attention the entire time you're remembering a rap from the top of your head? Come on.
It's it's the first rap album I ever bought. Oh. What you just did is called a Steve Miller rhyme.
Oh, where
lovey dovey all the time. Ooey baby, I sure show you a good time.
Can't do that. Can't do it. Don't rhyme the same words. That's what I always say.
It's not a rhyme. It's an identity. Anyway, let's move on.
Right. So that's what's spinning. You can listen to all of the music that Daniel has highlighted on our What's the Spin playlist on Spotify, and I suggest you do so. Okay, today we have a very special guest. We're both really excited about this. We've been wanting him on for a while. He's the founder and director of the Palestine House of Freedom in D.C. He's written a couple of fantastic books. I've read one of them. He wrote The General's Son, Journey of an Israeli in Palestine. And then he also wrote Injustice, the story of the Holy Land Foundation 5. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, welcome to the podcast, Miko Peled. Hey.
How's it going? You know, there is one more song about generals.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you guys remember. It's a long time ago. There's a movie called White Christmas.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes.
And there's a general there that they're showing all the love to and stuff like that. So there's a song about a general there.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm going to have to re-listen to White Christmas.
About what a great general he was. Not exactly, you know.
I mean, hey, it's the first song about a general that we've heard. We're both here racking our brains having to do songs about that have the word son in it. So speaking of generals and sons, you wrote this book, The General's Son, and it is, it is part of a memoir of your life and your father's life and your family history in Palestine. Mm-hmm. I think my first question would be like, where are you living now?
I live in Washington, D.C. now.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been here for a few years now, yeah.
Yeah.
And before that, Southern California, yeah?
Before that, I was in lovely San Diego, yes, for a long time.
And for a little bit, as a child after the 67 war, you lived in West L.A.
That's right.
That's where I grew up.
A few years,
so
right. That's right.
I was very interested in that part of your life because I was doing, like the street math, like, how close was he to me while this was happening?
302 Sawtell Boulevard. I'll never forget.
Oh, look at that. You doxed your past self.
I'll never forget. Yeah.
So when you talk about the General's Son, you're specifically speaking about your father, Miko Peled, and his history. I mean, he's a venerated figure in Israel. At the very least, he's a one in every time I read a history of the state of Israel, the founding of the state. He always is prominently featured as one of the people, almost like one of the founders. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine the kind of reception you get from Zionists and Israelis telling your story and talking about your views about Israel and Palestine. What has been the response? When is the last time you were back, and how do people respond to you in general, Israelis specifically?
Well, first, thanks for having me on your show, guys. I love it. This is really cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I was, in Israeli society, the army is everything. It's above God. It's like, so to have a father who was a general, especially in those days, he was an officer at 48, then he was a general 67. Those are like, gods of the Olympus.
And in between those two, what I didn't know, he was the military governor of Gaza.
Yes.
And he was the military governor of Gaza, which is also very interesting. Israel occupied Gaza and Sinai in 1956 for about 6 months.
Right. Until they were forced to unoccupy it.
Until the U.S. said, get the hell out, and they got the hell out.
Right.
The U.S. has leverage over Israel? Never heard of it.
Those were the days, yeah. Those were the days.
It's so weird saying those were the days for even for Reagan, you're like, those were the days.
Oh, today, I know. Today, it's horrible. Yeah.
Yes.
But, but then what happened was, right after the 67 war, which it was really just a horrible assault by Israel against its neighbors. It wasn't really a war. It was a massive assault. He began talking about this idea of recognizing Palestinian rights and the Palestinian state while still in uniform before he even retired. And there was a shift between him and the establishment because nobody in their right mind thought that the West Bank shouldn't be settled by Jews right away, and they did settle it by Jews right away. I mean, immediately. As soon as the territories were taken, boom, they were bulldozing Palestinian neighborhoods and towns and villages and building settlements.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a short period of people just kind of wondering what happened to this guy because he was known as a hawk and he was a general and he was, and suddenly, so then all the way towards, moving forward, he met with Yasser Arafat and he met with Palestinians, with the PLO and all that kind of stuff, to the point where he became persona non grata, even in Jewish spaces in the United States, although he used to come and speak quite a lot.
Well, just to cut in for a second, I told you off air, but it's worth saying to the listeners, one of my first memories as I was being re-educated, it was simultaneous because my dad, who was functionally anti-Zionist, though he never used the term, also sent me to a labor Zionist summer camp. So I was getting both at once. And during that time, it was during the time of the first Intifada.
Why he did that? But
it's odd. It was sort of it doesn't matter.
Maybe it was a prank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting trolled by your own dad for your entire childhood. Well, it did force me to have critical thinking skills, and it forced me to speak up against authority, and it forced me to hold multiple things at the same time, even though one side of those things was completely untrue. But what I was going to say is that your father's name is one of the first names I remember hearing as I started learning about the quote unquote other side, because my dad was part of a group called Jews for a Just Peace in Vancouver, and they invited Mati to come and speak. And of course, the Jewish Community Center would not allow them to hold the event there. And it was controversial that he was bringing him. But my dad was trying to say to people, look, if you have this stalwart of the Zionist movement, this military hero telling you that the PLO should be taken seriously and negotiated with, and that these territories, it's not even in Israel's interest to keep them and to annex them and settle them, then what are you doing? And of course, no one wanted to hear it. But yeah.
So I tell the story, and I'm glad you added that, because that's kind of, so I was already used to people in my family being, considered traitors and hated and not accepted by the establishment. So, of course, I took it much further. He was a staunch Zionist till his dying day. I reject Zionism completely. But it's, Israelis don't want to have this conversation. So even when I am there, I rarely meet Israelis. I mean, with my family, or I used to be with my family, and then I would be with my Palestinian, friends and comrades, doing things.
Right.
And so that was it. I was interviewed a couple of times by Israeli news channels for all kinds of programs about, the hateful Israelis that reject Israel. And at
Is
the
that
end,
the pitch to you? They're like,
Huh?
we're doing is that how they pitch it to you? What, like, do they email like, hey, we're doing this segment about like
It's
traitors?
called the Hateful Eight.
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah,
It's a
something
panel
like
discussion.
that. They
Crazy.
frame it slightly, not quite, but yeah, basically that's what it is.
Wow.
And then after the recording, they would go, we agree with you 95%, but why do you have to be so extreme? And I'm like, that 5%, goddamn it, what is that 5%? And that's exactly the difference between seeing Palestinians as humans that deserve rights and not.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So all these liberal Israelis and liberal Zionists, I mean, up to a point, it's okay. But why do you have to go?
Right.
So,
What's interesting about that? If you were to start with that 5%, if that was your starting block, that 5%, you could not help go all the way to the 100. If you start from anything else, you're going to stop at the 95 mark. And I would think that 95% estimate on their part was self-flattery. I don't quite think it's true. But still, the point is, your politics are premised on an inescapable human value you have, that these people in front of me are as human as me. And therefore, I have to listen to what happened to them. I have to reckon with my accountability in it. And I have to imagine a future that redresses it in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's unacceptable. But you're absolutely right. If the Zionist education system is built in a way that 5% is always missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the supremacy part. And we don't give up on the supremacy part because, you can't trust anybody and that sort of thing. And that's exactly the 5%. But it was I would have these ridiculous conversations with these guys who see themselves as lefties, the producers, the camera people, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Who see themselves as these really good lefties, these really good peace people. And it would be comical if it wasn't so tragic.
Right. Well, there was a time, I think, where this sort of like liberal Zionism, at least in my life, was something that I almost like had a tolerance for it because I was like, oh, they'll get there, was always my feeling about it. And this moment, the last almost 2 years now, has really put that they'll get there to the test. Because I have never seen such a staunch commitment to never humanizing Palestinians, to never getting there. It's interesting with you, a lot, at least in my life, a lot of the older generation of people, of Jews specifically, with the way they talk about Israel is almost in this way of like, it didn't used to be this bad. It was such a wonderful, socialist state, anti-racist, built as like a bastion of liberalism and
peace seeking.
And you, as someone who grew up there at the time in which all of my, elders venerate and idealize about. What was your experience? Was Israel, was there the good Israel at that time?
Well, just one thing about Hasbara that I just remembered. In one of the interviews that I did with Israeli, in the introduction with Israeli TV, the introduction, they said that I was the Hasbara's worst nightmare.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is quite an honor, of course.
That's a wonderful honor.
True.
That means your bad Hasbara's wet dream.
Yes, exactly.
I feel very comfortable. I feel very much at home right now. So growing up in this privilege, on the privileged side of the apartheid, you're privileged. You don't think. Except from time to time, we would go. So like after 1967, we would go to the old city to take a trip or maybe eat falafel, or some big. And then as a kid, you can't help notice that like everything is different. Like there's no sidewalks and. It seems kind of dusty. Or if you go drive through the West Bank, you see these villages and everything is kind of dusty and seems backward and just not as, nice as what it is on our side. I didn't know why. The explanation was always that, well, the Jews came and they were developed and smart. And so they did this beautiful stuff and the Arabs are just, messed up. So they can't, that's why they live like this.
Right.
I didn't know at the time that they don't get water, for example, and then the same thing driving through Palestinian towns in 1948. I mean, it was the same thing. You see the same thing. and I couldn't, of course, articulate it, but there's no question that you see the apartheid. There's no question. Even in Jerusalem, I grew up in Jerusalem, you cross to East Jerusalem, and everything is completely different. Not only are the people different because they speak a different language and they wear different clothes and they have a different culture and all that, but also just like they don't have stuff, like there's no sidewalks. Everything is messy. There's no garbage collection. I mean, things that you notice like that and are easy to blame them for.
Right.
Look how filthy they are. They don't even recycle, that kind of thing.
So that's their material conditions.
Yeah.
I wonder what Matt is pointing to strikes me as maybe, you tell me what you think about this, so, talking about the sort of the manner of domination, the manner of supremacy, the etiquette, your father seems to represent, as you describe him in the book, a kind of nobility and a kind of serious, sober-minded, reflective, analytical and dry military governor of a refugee population, wanting to do right by them within the very limited bounds that his command structure and his loyalty, his unquestioned loyalty to his own state permit. So you could think of him as sort of an enlightened British admiral or something in India, who distinguishes himself from the brutes who want to rough up the natives.
Right.
And that it seemed to me that up until like the 90s, when, Meretz was still a factor of some kind, people like Shulamit Aloni and Yossi Sarid and people like that, there existed a class of Israeli either nobles or working parties or whatever, who imagined a kinder, gentler Israel, even if they couldn't imagine the possibility that there's nothing kind or gentle about a supremacist state.
And the truth is, I was raised, of course, to believe that we are the kind and gentle and the other side are violent and that sort of thing. And then later on, when my dad became more and more involved with the Palestinian issue, then we made some mistakes and there's some problems, but inherently we are the right and we are the moral army and we are the moral people. I didn't realize that was all a lie until later on. But sitting around, family gatherings where all the who's who are there at a wedding or whatever, it was clear that we're the good guys, and there's no question. And also growing up, you don't know that the other side doesn't live like this unless you take a trip through it for some reason, or you walk somewhere, which you rarely do. I think I mentioned in the book, if ever we went on a trip somewhere and we had to drive through the West Bank, my father always had his AK-47 in the car. Mm-hmm. I never thought anything of it.
But, you're like, he's a general, I guess he just wants to have his gun.
There's a thing, because it's dangerous. We're driving around Arabs is dangerous, so we have to have a gun. So that was, but then it's obvious that all of these, Shulamit Aloni and all these kind of liberal socialist Israelis, so to speak, that was, the 5% issue was still the issue. I mean, they were okay with it up to a certain point. They're okay with Palestinians having a tiny little enclave that they can call their own, but don't you dare question our right and the legitimacy of the ethnic cleansing that we committed in 1948. And when people talk about the good old days, I have to wonder, this entire project, the State of Israel as a Zionist project, it began with a massive crime against humanity. It began really with when the genocide of the Palestinian people. It was horrific. Of course, we learn about it, and my dad was an officer in 1948 and all this, and a young officer and blah, blah, blah. But they committed horrific war crimes, horrific crimes against humanity. And that was the starting point of the so-called Jewish state. That was the starting point. So what good old days are they talking about? And then, of course, the apartheid state was established and the apartheid system was established. And there were massacres all the time and there was displacement all the time and nobody cared. It was like no big deal. We're a nice socialist, friendly. And, and other people bought this. I mean, Joan Baez would come in and perform there, and Leonard Cohen came and performed there, and all these people that you wouldn't expect maybe in other European, socialist kind of, performers that had a consciousness would come, because everybody
Pete Seeger on his albums, there's tons of Israeli folk songs.
Yeah,
The
Harry
Weavers,
Belafonte. Harry Belafonte has a whole bunch of Hebrew stuff, and I'm like, what the hell were these people thinking?
Yeah.
How is it that the Palestinian people were completely out of sight? How is it that 3 years after the Holocaust, they allowed this genocide to go on? I mean, they defined, the crime of genocide and crimes against humanity, and all these legal minds defined these laws in order to prevent another Holocaust, and nothing. 3 years went by, and boom, nobody cared. I mean, they allowed this horror to take place, and the refugees, and just all the horrors the Palestinians had to go through. And then the apartheid state, was put in place, and everybody heralded as some great achievement.
Now I've got Harry Belafonte singing "Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me falafel" in my head, or pomelo, or some other three-syllable thing. What was the breaking point for you, Miko? Like, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't just one breaking point; it was a series of them. And I know that the murder of your niece was a crucial, inflection point for you. Maybe you can speak a little bit about that. But there was that. But what else was it that sort of put you over the edge of having to go much further than your father ever went? And it occurs to me, maybe your father and Shulamit Aloni ran the 95% so that you and Udi, their offspring, could run the next 5, But how did that transformation happen for you?
So I always say, I think as humans, big changes in our perception of the world, our perspectives, our belief systems, very often, if not always, happen after something terrible that shakes us to the core.
Yeah.
And actually yesterday was the day we commemorate, the day my September 4th was the day she was killed. Mm. And then I flew over, and September 7th was the funeral. But so that was the big shock. That was the drive to start looking around and doing things and becoming active. I just didn't know what to do yet. So
just for listeners who don't know the story, can you give us the synopsis of how she died and when?
Yeah, so this was September the 4th, 1997, and it was a really difficult time. There were explosions and bombings all over the place. And this was in Jerusalem, in downtown, and 3 young Palestinians blew themselves up and killed her and a few others, and injured, many others. Because she was the granddaughter of Mr. Peace with Palestine, so to speak, and he was a general and everything. This was like front page news.
Right.
And so I remember landing there and driving straight to Jerusalem, and the morning paper was there, and it was right there on the front page of the morning paper. And I got a lot of attention, a lot of press. My sister added to the press and to the interest when she said that when she pointed a finger at Israel as being the cause of her daughter's death. Mm. And when being asked about revenge and retaliation, she said no real mother would want to see this happen to any other mother. Mm. So now there was even more press, and there was more attention, and so forth. I came back here to the U.S. and I started looking, who do you talk to? Especially in Southern California, where all people want to do is go to the beach and make money.
Right.
But eventually, I was fortunate enough to find the Palestinian community there and start that journey. But the breaking point where I actually saw the country and realized this whole two-state solution is a bunch of nonsense. You may remember this. In 2005, the Palestinians created the what they call the nonviolent popular resistance, where every Friday in all these different villages and towns, they would have marches after Friday prayer. Everybody would get together, and a lot of foreigners would go there. And Bilain was the village that started it. And there were, like, for a decade, more than a decade, Bilain was the place that any activist had to, check off to say that they were in Bilain and they participated. So it was December 2005, and another, I forget who, but somebody told me about it. So I went there to meet the leaders of this movement in Bilain. And if anybody saw 5 Broken Cameras, these are the guys that are featured in that movie. And we just started walking, and the settlement of Modi'in Illit was already mostly built on their land. and these beautiful apartments and condos and just, a regular, middle class life for Jews only. And half the Jews that were there didn't even speak Hebrew. They just landed, they just came off the boat, so to speak, or off the plane. And I looked around and I thought, and this was a time where they were talking about maybe swapping land and that kind of nonsense. And I thought, this is bullshit.
And the wall had just been built too, right? In 2004.
And the wall was just being built.
Yeah.
It was just being built. So we were able to cross from the village to the settlement. Now you can't. Now now the wall is there. And we walked through and we talked to the settler. I didn't, they did. They spoke to the settlers and all kinds of stuff. And I thought to myself, this is bullshit. This whole two-state solution is bullshit. They're never going to get, they just spent billions of dollars to develop the city. And this is just one out of God knows how many. This is nonsense. The only resolution of this is one, free Palestine with equal rights. Mm-hmm. And then I came back to the U.S. and I wrote an article. I think it was an Electronic Intifada or something. Ali Abunimah was, I think he published it. And that was it. And that was the point of no return. From that moment on, I said, this is nonsense. This whole Zionism thing is a lie. The whole idea that somehow there could be a two-state solution, the Zionists would never allow it, because Zionist ideology is a zero-sum game. The land belongs to the Jewish people. Israel is just the caretaker.
Right.
Land, but that's why 98% of the land you're not allowed to lease or sell to anyone but Jews.
Right.
And so, and then my thinking began developing in that. But that was the moment that I said, that's it. This two-state solution, this whole Zionism is. And why do we have to be afraid of these people? Why can't we just live? Fine, we came, we took their land, we exiled them. Maybe we can find a way to, allow the refugees to return and, compensate for some of this. But why? Look at these. Why can't we just live? Who could wish for better neighbors than Palestinians?
Yeah. What's interesting is, you're talking about the 5%, this I agree with you 95%, but then that 5%, there's something in there. And it's, you just got me thinking about the fact that so many people who have that, the 95% are missing the 5%. After October 7th, I noticed, and I'm sure you did too, the absolute collapse of even the idea of the Israeli left. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, this term sobering up started being spread around. And I was reminded of that because of what happened to you and to your niece, after she was killed. Almost a concerted attempt by putting it on the front page to say, you see why we can't have peace with these people. And it's been, an interesting couple of years for me as someone who's, obviously an outsider, has never lived in Israel. For you, what have you seen that can possibly explain why it seems Israeli society has gone from wanting to put on a good face for the West and for the international community to saying, I don't care anymore about the international community. We're going to do this genocide in broad daylight and you're going to like it. Do you recognize that when you see that? Or is this strange to you? Are you shocked by what you're seeing Israelis openly gloating about, even the ones, who were purported, leftists or, peaceniks or whatever?
The process you described began in the year 2000, when, there was this Camp David summit with Ehud Barak and Clinton and Yasser Arafat. And when they came out, everybody said, yeah, Arafat doesn't want peace. The Palestinians, and that was the bulk of those liberal Israelis, the peace movement, so to speak. That was it. They chose Zionism over reconciliation and peace, and that was it. And that was the big bulk of them. And they had a moment of awakening, and they realized this whole peace with Palestinians was nonsense, exactly like you described. And then, of course, you're right. Those who remained. October 7th, just that was it. And you hear this a lot in the Hebrew news and in the news programs and interviews with people who said, yes, I used to be a lefty and I used to be a peacenik and I used to protest for peace. But now, I was a fool. I can't believe I did that in those days, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, and I'm not shocked because I never believed those. I mean, from a certain point, I stopped believing those people anyway.
Right.
Because I could recognize that this is all, it's a facade. It's this facade to show, like you said, there could be a better, kinder, gentler Israel, like the one that was before these religious settlers came and before completely ignoring the fact that my parents' generation were the same as the settlers today, except they didn't wear the yarmulke. They were Zionists, they had a different religion.
Yes.
There was also a fair amount of racism, too, on the part of the Tel Aviv liberal Zionist left, which is to say, these unwashed Mizrahim with their conservative politics or whatever. We have the cosmopolitan view. We're enlightened.
That's right.
Liberal Zionists are like a more extreme version of Phil Oakes's characterization of the American liberal. When he said, this curious specimen, the liberal, 5 degrees or 10 degrees to the left of center at the best of times, 10 degrees to the right of center when it affects them personally. Well, in the case of Israeli, or just liberal Zionists in general, they're like dead center at the best of times and about 40 degrees to the right of center when it affects them personally, which is to say when it affects their prejudices and their Zionism and their commitment to that above all.
And the strength of the Zionists has always been from, going back to the early 20th century, that even though they had divisions, they had, revisionists and socialists and religious and all the different, when it came to the issue of the land, the state, the Arabs, everyone was, lined up behind the same banner. Mm-hmm. They all lined up. And this is, we're seeing this now as again. And that was their strength. And that's why, within 50 years, they managed to have a state, even though Jews were a minority. Mm-hmm. It made absolutely no sense. They had a state in Palestine. All these European settlers came to Palestine and had a state. But I think that is still their strength, is that regardless of the differences on certain issues, we align with Zionism 100%. And there's no room for negotiations. This is it. It's ours, and that's that. Yeah. And the Arabs just need to surrender, die, or leave.
Well, speaking of negotiations and imaginations of a future, we've had a variety of guests on this show who have a variety of views on what A, should happen, and B, everyone agrees the genocide needs to stop and the Israeli regime needs to be transformed in some way. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the final vision of it, the configuration, people sometimes differ. But what I'm curious about is your sense of what is the most likely path to that just future. Do you foresee an internal collapse of Israeli society? Do you foresee, before that'll ever happen, a collapse of U.S. empire such that Israel can't sustain it? Like what is your most hopeful pathway for getting to a free Palestine from the river to the sea with equal rights for all and liberation and justice for the Palestinians?
I think to begin with, we have to realize that anybody who is suddenly appalled by what's happening in Gaza, we're 77 years too late. There's a direct link between 1948 and what is 2023. There's a direct link. Israelis, the Zionists, have always said that this is what they were going to do. They did it, perhaps not quite as horrible as is taking place now in the Gaza death camp, but they were very clear that this was going to happen. There was no other path for Zionism other than what we're seeing now. And for reasons maybe beyond understanding, they were allowed to get away with it. Mm-hmm. Establishing the apartheid state in Palestine in 1948 was a colossal war crime.
And they did it over a much huger swath of territory.
I'm sorry?
They committed that crime over a much larger swath of territory. Gaza is tiny, right? They managed to ethnically cleanse.
Yes. Yeah. They took out about 1 million people.
Yeah.
And so So that's where it started. So now people are saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Well, where were you the last 77 years? This is nothing new. And they never hid that this was their objective.
Right.
You know, they herded all these Palestinians from mostly southern Palestine into a concentration camp in the early 50s. And they just let it, and the whole world is just, you know, I don't know, let them get away with it. And massacres in Gaza began in the 1950s too. It didn't start in 2023. So that's the first part I think that people need to realize. The second thing is that you're not going to stop the genocide. You're not going to be able to bring food to people in Gaza, stop the starvation. We will not be able to release the political prisoners who are now dying in prisons of starvation and so forth, because the reality in the prisons now is so severe. I just met this woman at the People's Conference in Detroit, and her husband's been in jail for about 6 months. He was on his way out to go to Jordan. They picked him up, and 4 months she hasn't heard from him, or 5 months. He lost 40 pounds. That's the reality now. So anyway, none of these issues on its own can be resolved. None of them. We cannot feed children in Gaza now. Obviously, this absurd idea that that people in Gaza need food to be shipped from overseas, and then waiting for Israel to give them permission to come in from Egypt. Israel is committing genocide. Why would they allow food and medicine in? It's cheaper for people to die from infections and from starvation than using a bullet to kill them, right? So this whole absurd reality is because people are holding on to this idea that Israel has a right to exist.
Right.
That's the problem. Israel is the obstacle to stability. It's the obstacle to peace. It's the obstacle to liberation. It has wreaked havoc on the entire, Western Asia. I mean, the wars that they started, the massacres they committed, the massive refugee issue. That was all because of that. So it's time to get rid of it. It's time to dismantle it. How we do it is, of course, the challenge, because it is very strong. But I think that the model we should follow is to demand people around the world. People demand their governments impose sanctions, stop trade, close diplomatic missions, call in their ambassadors. That is the model that works. Kick Israel out of the Olympics, of the World Cup, and on and on and on and on, of any space, any kind of space, international space, where they are until now being very welcome.
If you really want to drive Israelis crazy, and
it will drive Israelis crazy. Exactly.
And I'm saying Eurovision is the key. I think Eurovision. They cannot countenance being kicked out of Eurovision.
Exactly.
Or UEFA.
Yeah.
All these things, that would drive them absolutely nuts, and that is what it was going to bring them down. How we get from here to there? Well, world opinion is shifting, even here in the U.S. All these polls are showing that opinions are shifting, and that's the model. And then the apartheid regime, I believe, will collapse and give way to a liberated Palestine with equal rights. But I think it's important to also note that October 7th. What the Palestinians were able to do on October 7th, these fighters that came from one of the poorest, hungriest, most surveilled, most oppressed regions in the world, they were able, for the first time and without precedent, to completely paralyze the apartheid state, to shock them and paralyze them in a way that has never been done before, and they still have not recovered.
Yeah. I mean, it was a humiliation that I think, as soon as it was happening, and I'd like to hear how you felt, on October 7th, as soon as it was happening, it felt to me like this level of penetration by the, people of Gaza, this humiliation would lead to a reprisal that it's like I knew immediately that this was going to be the reason that they were going to do everything. They were going to use this as justification for every crime imaginable. And I'm wondering if you felt the same way, just based on the humiliation alone.
Yeah.
And if I could piggyback on that.
Yeah.
How does that Old Testament level reprisal cohere with what you said about the state being paralyzed? Because from a certain point of view, they've been very mobilized and they've been very able to carry, they've been anything but immobile. Mm-hmm. So what do you mean by paralysis? And to Matt's question, what was your feeling at the time?
Well, so I mean, the response is obviously the response of a gangster or a bully who's been humiliated. You find the weakest victim, and you take it all out on them, and that's exactly what they did. Mm-hmm. Now, it took the military a while to mobilize. It took them a while to mobilize. They had no idea what was going on. They had to call reservists. They everybody was at home sleeping. I mean, it took a while. So Israelis, and I was still on speaking terms with my family. They were like scared, and everybody had to have a gun. What if they come up to Jerusalem, and where are they? And at the same time, Israelis were running away from the north because the Lebanese force of the Hezbollah was shooting rockets at them. It was complete chaos. The media didn't know what was going on. The military didn't know what was going on. The police was not functioning. The politicians weren't. The government wasn't functioning, and it took several weeks before they were able to, get a grip on what was going on. But they have the hardware, so that's not a problem. To go in there and bomb the hell out of Gaza, that's easy. Within a few hours, you can start doing that, and that's exactly what they did. So that part is it doesn't take a lot to do that. You don't need a lot to do that. The order is there, and everybody is happy to go there and just bomb the hell out of whatever moves in and around Gaza. And that's exactly what they did. But the country is not functioning. It's not functioning. People are terrified. The settlers from the Galilee in the north and from the kibbutzim and the settlements around Gaza still have not returned. They've not been rebuilt. They're complaining. The country is completely, whatever there was of a thing called Israeli society, which is really a patchwork of different groups with Scotch tape around them. The Scotch tape came off. That's what happened. The Scotch came off, and everybody's at everybody's throats. The ultra-Orthodox and the non-Orthodox and these and that and the so-called liberals who don't want to stop the genocide. They just want to pause it to allow the hostages to come back. All that kind of stuff. It is completely dysfunctional. And the rhetoric is insane. People are at each other's throats in the Knesset. They're at each other's throats in the media. It's insanity, and they have not recovered. And plus, on top of that, the Yemeni forces closing the Bab el-Mandeb Straits completely shut down the Port of Eilat. The Port of Eilat used to bring 150, 200,000 cars a year. It's bankrupt. It's closed. Nothing is going through. That's a huge blow to the economy. So all of these things, there's no way to recover from it. On top of that, reservists are at their wits' end because they're in there all the time because I don't know, and now they've mobilized another 100,000 reservists to go in. So it's complete chaos.
There was a crazy headline. I forget, was it the Washington Post? It wasn't a terrible article, but the headline was something like, IDF reservist fatigue complicates Israel's plans to empty Gaza City.
Right.
Sort of a logistical problem,
Yeah.
People are tired.
It's like they were talking about the removal of 2 million Palestinians to South Sudan.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a plan. People are discussing it. There are some human rights concerns.
Right. Yeah.
Concerns.
Some people have questions. Some people have questions about the emptying of cities.
Yeah. They're going to circle back.
Yeah. Let's put a pin in this.
Yeah. But I mean, so the place is dysfunctional. People are, it's just, they've really, October 7th was a shock they're never going to recover from. And now world opinion is shifting, and we see some countries already talking about ending diplomatic relations and this and that. I mean, Colombia announced a while ago. I guess now they're actually doing it. They're going to stop the coal shipments. They're Israel's number one coal supplier. That's huge. I don't know what Colombia is going to do with all that coal. I mean, they can't eat it. They have to sell it to someone. They've got jobs, people working in the coal mines. I mean, I don't know how they're going to negotiate all that. But it's a brave stance. Hopefully they're really going to do it. So that's the path, I mean, I always tell the story in the Tokyo Olympics, the last Olympics in Tokyo. Mm-hmm. There was an Algerian judo practitioner, and he was supposed to compete against a member of the Israeli team, and he refused.
Right.
His name escapes me right now. I know his name. And he was kicked out of the Olympics. He was kicked out of the World Judo Federation. His career was over, right? You know how hard somebody's got to work to get to the Olympics, right?
Right.
And he said, no, I'm not going to do this. So, of course, we all see him as a hero, and he was received as Fathi Nourain. His name was Fathi Nourain. But that's not his job. He shouldn't give up his career. The Olympic Committee should not allow the apartheid team to participate.
Yeah.
That's the key issue. That's what needs to happen. That's what we should all be pushing for. And, if we all, embrace our role in as liberators, and we have to embrace the role. Palestinians in Palestine are like prisoners in a maximum security prison. There's only so much they can do.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be there to support them in their fight for liberation. We need to take up that mantle, and we need to do everything we can, and then some, to end it as quickly as possible. This entire Zionist project is a dark chapter in the long history of Palestine. It's a regime that has implanted itself, and it's got to go. The country is Palestine. Israel is a regime. It's a dark chapter in this very long and really glorious history of Palestine, but it's got to quickly end. We have to end it because people are dying, and they're going to keep dying as long as this regime exists.
And you think the isolation will quicken that, not just in terms of obviously governments isolating them would be a huge factor, but cultural isolation, let's say, things like the not allowing them in the Olympics or Eurovision or whatnot, not going to films that, they release or whatnot. Do you think that would hasten the collapse, or is there part of you? Because for me, I have this one, nagging worry, which is that part of the Hasbara has been, or at least that I grew up with, has been everybody hates you. And so whenever there are, people speaking out against BDS, I always hear them coming from this place of well, I expect the world to hate me. So it's it almost it gets them to dig their heels in.
But
deeper.
Hating and excluding are two different things, Matt.
True. No, of course. Of
course they'll spin Hasbara in response to it, but
I guess what I'm asking is what do you feel that how much do you feel that Israelis, individuals in Israel, rely on the acceptance of the of people in the West? What would hurt more, the rejection by the general populace of, let's say, the United States, or specifically the Jewish community of the United States? What do you think? How would an Israeli citizen react to it?
Well, I think all of the above is important. You have to do all of the above. The acceptance is like the lifeline for Israelis. Mm-hmm. Not to be accepted, not to be liked is the worst punishment.
Okay, great.
Certainly, if the Jewish community steps up in a big way, and many Jewish people have, especially younger Jewish people, that would be a blow, of course, to everyone. If they can't participate in the Olympics, if they can't have a team with the Israeli flag, would be devastating. That would be absolutely devastating. So all of these things have to happen at the same time. Now, looking at Israel's record over the last, since it was established, I don't see how anybody could not hate it.
Right.
And, and what's a surprise? And the fact that, Israeli people say, oh, the government is different than the people. No, Israelis vote in very high numbers. You look at the makeup of the Israeli Knesset, and what's there to like? And who voted them in?
Yeah,
them in? I mean, millions of Israelis voted them in. So they represent all these policies, all these horrors that we're seeing represent the will of the people.
Yeah.
Well, how could you not hate? How could you not hate? Doesn't mean So it's kind of it's really funny to say, oh, hate Israel. Of course, I hate Israel. How could you not hate Israel?
Yeah,
it's a horrible regime.
Speaking of hating Israel, I have 3 questions. I'm trying to prioritize them because I know we don't have much time. Let me start with this. One of the things I was struck by in the early parts of your book, you do a great job of not telegraphing where you end up politically, and it seems like a conscious decision. you really don't give short shrift to your early Zionism and to your love of the place. And especially you speak about your love of Hebraic culture and your pride in it, and the poetic tradition and the liturgical tradition and all of this. Where do you hold those things in your heart now? Is it possible to hold on to, I don't know, Bialik or even, more ancient sources of Hebrew culture, the language, the connection to that place, which long predates Zionism? How do you relate to that now?
It's a very interesting question. I struggle with it. So, I don't know if you had Susan Abu Hawa on your show, but
Not yet.
She's a friend, and she was asked by my publisher to do a conversation with me in New York after the book came out. So she started reading the book, and then she called the publisher. She said, "Screw this! I don't want to read this book. This is, I don't want to meet this guy, and I don't want to read this book." And then, so Helena, my publisher, said, "Read to the end." And then, we did the event in New York, and we became friends and so on. And then she wrote a review, and she describes those feelings. And I heard this from many Palestinians. The first half of the book is just painful. And honestly, I can't read it now. I find it painful, just the way it was, how convincing my love for Zionism was. But, Israeli culture is the culture that I was raised on. And so from time to time, and I'm very angry at Israeli performers and all those who didn't speak up, and most of them don't and didn't. But there's some things that I still like to hear from time to time. So I'll kind of, in my own dark, quiet moment, listen to a song or read a poem or something. But in terms of the larger kind of Jewish identity, I'm actually working on a book now about the anti-Zionist ultra-Orthodox Jews. And it's a much bigger phenomenon. It's a much larger community than I ever imagined. And I've been in contact with the community up in New York, in London, and in Jerusalem. And they're all, connected.
The Williamsburg Setmars?
Yes, the Setmars, yes.
Yeah, they're my neighbors.
Setmars and a few others, yes, exactly. And I visited them, and I did Shabbos with them, and I've interviewed them, and, whenever they come to protest, they come here, actually. Last time, the big protest here in D.C., they came, there was about 100 of them. And they don't have a place to pray. They don't have a place to put their stuff. So they were here. And I walked in Saturday morning, and it was like walking into an ultra-Orthodox, shul. I was like, whoa, what is going on here? But I have a lot of respect for them because they saw what it took me a very long time to see in the very beginning.
Yeah.
The very first thing that was written by rabbis against Zionism, and it was a warning to Jews, was in the year 1900. They said this idea of a state, a Medina, as they say, a Jewish state, will bring violence to the Holy Land, ruin our good relations with the Arabs and the Muslims, and cast doubt as to the loyalty of Jews who are good citizens around the world. And so to that, and it was very interesting to go to services. I mean, I'm not a religious person. I've never been to an ultra-Orthodox synagogue. First of all, it's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and never ends.
It's a slog.
But even though I could read the text, I have no idea what they're saying because the way they pronounce the Lashon Kodesh, the holy language, is not modern Ivrit. To them, modern Ivrit is part of Zionism. So I have on the issue of the Israeli stuff, I sometimes find myself kind of longing to hear a song or a particular singer that I liked, and I will do that, and then I'll remember why I hate them.
I'm with you. I've got my little collection, a tiny little collection.
Yeah,
I've got Shoshana Damari. I've got Yehudi Ravitz.
See, okay, so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But then, kind of the pre-Zionist or the non-Zionist, like I don't know if you guys have ever read J.J. Singer.
No.
He's the older brother of Bashevis.
Bashevis. Oh, yeah.
He was his older brother, and he was the better writer, but he died. He died young.
Wow.
And he wrote incredible works, novels. Huh. And it's mostly kind of between the two world wars, more or less. That's kind of the period in Eastern.
In Hebrew or Yiddish?
He wrote in Yiddish.
Yeah, just like his brother.
Yeah, he wrote in Yiddish. but there's translations, and a lot of the books are. I mean, all the books are out of print, so you have to find used ones. Phenomenal stuff, incredible writing.
Wow.
And Bashevis Singer himself said that his brother was the greater writer of the two, and he was an inspiration. So I mean, that sort of thing, kind of the non-Zionist or anti-Zionist culture that existed among secular Jews was fascinating. I mean, there's it's a history to be proud of course.
Yeah. I kind of have a similar thing. I mean, just in terms of, I just thank God sometimes that that Gershwin died in 1938. Just because like he did, before the establishment of Israel. Not that I know where he stood on, establishing a state in Palestine, but just like there's a few Jews in entertainment and in history who didn't have a chance to become Zionists, and I can enjoy it and not have this like dark thing hanging over me.
Matt's version of the baby Hitler conundrum is: if you had a time machine, would you go back and kill your Jewish cultural heroes before they can become Zionists?
Hey, I don't know if you guys know this. You know the song Donna Donna that was being made famous? That was written by two Jewish, the lyrics and the music in Yiddish originally.
Yes, Doina Doina.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff that happened by secular, very progressive.
And then there's stuff that happened by Eastern European, like say partisan fighters that's been co-opted by like Eli by who's it, Hannah Senesh,
Right.
Anyway.
So and again, here in this country, of course, Zionism came, killed all of that, and took over.
Yeah,
that's why it doesn't exist anymore. There is no more Yiddish culture in this country, sadly, because the Zionists took over. Ivrit became the new thing, and and then you end up going to a Zionist camp.
Well, the first thing Matt and I ever discussed on this show together was how Zionism kills irony. And why Israeli comedy is so god awful, because all they have is sarcasm.
Yeah,
they have a tone of voice. They don't have they don't have the sight to see contradictions and hypocrisies, because their entire existence depends on not seeing them.
And a lot of a lot of Israeli comedy is racism against Arab Jews.
Yes, and it's always presented. It's I think this is the main like cultural separation between kind of this history of Jewish comedy and Yiddish irony and Israeli cruelty, is that they don't understand. I've said this before, but it's like they think that gallows humor is when the hangman does a joke, because they have always been the hangman. They've never been in the gallows, and they just don't understand when you are supreme, you're just doing cruelty. It's not, there's no irony. It's not funny to anyone else, you know?
Yeah.
We are approaching the agreed upon cutoff point. I wonder if I could ask you two kind of parallel questions that both seem important to me. Number one, under your name, we have the Palestine House of Freedom, Washington, D.C., and you mentioned it as a place where you hosted the Satmarim. Can you tell us what, PHF is and where you guys are at and what you're working on?
Sure.
And number two, and you can answer these in any order. This is an impossible question to answer, but if you're willing to go there, what do you think Miko Peled would say about Israel, Zionism, and the future if he could see what Israel has become since 2023?
I'll start with the second one because it's harder. There's no way of knowing, obviously, but if we look at his trajectory and the actions that he took, even as a Zionist, in deeply analyzing and being critical of the Zionist state, I can't imagine that he would not call for a single democracy with equal rights.
Yeah.
I mean, his whole life he rejected it. That's why he thought the two-state solution was so important, because he said if anything else would be just a horrible bloodbath. But seeing what is happening now, and knowing, he did a lot of. Another thing that Susan Abulhawa wrote about my book is that my father is an Arab, is an Israeli that the Palestinians don't know whether they should love or hate. because he did a lot for Palestinians, like individually, like he would help, somebody would approach him, they took my land or they arrested my son or that kind of thing.
And he became a scholar of Arabic literature.
And he became a scholar of Arabic literature, yes, and so on. So he did a lot, and he, unlike his, the people around him and around us, he actually liked Arab culture. He liked being part of around the Arab world. He didn't look down at it. He didn't hate it. Mm-hmm. And so I think he would have realized that there's only one way to go, and that's to work as hard as we can to establish a real free Palestine with equal rights. Hmm. So that's the second question. The first one is, so Palestine House of Freedom. So the idea is something that I've been talking to people, my comrades in Palestine mostly, and people here in the U.S. There was no space for Palestine in Washington, D.C. There's no Palestinian flag anywhere. Mm-hmm. And this is a city where every flag under the sun, all the embassies and so on. So the idea, first of all, was to establish, a nonprofit, but then to find a place that would be high profile, where the name Palestine and the Palestinian flag would be right in your face.
Yeah.
As opposed to all these, NGOs that exist here, that are like in somebody's basement, or they don't highlight the name Palestine, that kind of thing. And we landed this fantastic space here on Capitol Hill, which is a few blocks from the Capitol, on Pennsylvania Avenue. So we have a Palestinian flag on the building, the name Palestine House of Freedom. You can't miss it. And we have this big space with offices, and then a big courtyard, again, with another big flag where we hold events. And so first step was to create it, then to establish it as a space which is unapologetically Palestine. Our mission is, as a nonprofit, to education, and so we're working on curricula. We have a lot of social media stuff, and we have events, panels, movie screenings. Other organizations are using the space, other Palestine related or social justice groups use the space here, because we are unapologetically for liberation, not just Palestinian liberation, other liberation movements as well. But we are unapologetically anti-Zionist and pro-liberation of Palestine. We don't talk about peace. We don't talk about dialogue. We talk about the liberation of Palestine. We talk about justice. We talk about the right of return, and highlighting those things. Mm-hmm. So that's, we have events here all the time, especially, through the summer and between the summer and the end of the year. And more people are coming to recognize that we're here and using the space and so forth. And we're working on a curriculum that we want to present, hopefully before the end of the year, to demonstrate and give people the tools to explain that the peaceful, the peace, the stability, the humanity, the human rights that we all talk about are possible in Palestine.
Even the bitachon.
Even the bitachon, yes, exactly.
Security,
safety and security for Palestinian people, that can all be a reality. The problem is everybody's invested in the obstacle. Everybody's invested in the right of the obstacle to exist.
Right.
We need to remove the apartheid state, because that's the obstacle. That's the source of instability and suffering and refugees and death and destruction in the entire region, not only in Palestine.
That's
it. It's that 5%,
Exactly.
Well, you've just given me that's great, because I find, quote unquote, the crumbling Zionist settler colonial entity to be a bit cumbersome. Yeah. I'm just going to call it the obstacle from now on.
The obstacle, yeah. They're the obstacle.
I love it.
So to give people the tools to talk to their, their Jewish neighbor or their Jewish son-in-law, or whoever it is they're afraid to talk to, and even just activists who need more, to feel secure and safe and able to talk about Palestine freely. So we're working on a curriculum that, like I said, will be we'll create 5 or 6 classes from by the end of the year, I hope. So that's the mission, and that's where we are. And we I don't know if you guys know about the People's Forum that took place, the conference in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we know.
That's this kind of space that this is. That's the message that is reflected here as well. That's the message. It's 100% liberation, unapologetically for Palestinian liberation, for Palestinian rights. And it's been going great. I mean, we moved into this space a little over a year ago, and we're just go. It's really fantastic.
That's fantastic. Well, we're going to make sure that we have links to not just the Palestine House of Freedom, but also to your books, available for purchase right now.
Yeah.
Truly, thank you for coming on the show and talking to us. You're a fascinating person, and we'd love to have you back. Just
sure, happy to do it anytime, guys.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. Absolutely, yeah.
Cool, very
Thanks
cool.
so much, Miko.
I'll see you in New York soon.
Yes, looking forward to it. Can't wait to
All
meet you in person.
And everyone, stick around because we'll be right back. And we're back. It's Badass Bara, the world's most moral podcast. Thank you to Miko, who was fantastic. And man, what a good interview. That was great.
Wow. What a great guest. What a great interview guest.
Wow. Thank you very much. It's Jimmy from South Park. We can do that because we're both old.
He sure became an anti-Zionist very much.
Yeah. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Timmy. So I like how we're getting us all out. As soon as Miko leaves, we're just like, let's.
I'm sorry. Last night or 2 nights ago,
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched Terrence and Philip Behind the Blow. The episode where the kids have to go to Canada to get Philip to play the Earth Day thing.
Yeah.
And the thing they do, like what there's a maxim in a lot of things, including comedy, where like you have to know where to quit while you're ahead.
Yeah.
One of the things South Park does incredibly well is not quitting while they're ahead.
No, they don't. They make it funny again.
They make it they just keep going. So there's this scene where like Philip is doing Shakespeare in Canada.
Yes.
And they basically do almost the entire final scene of Hamlet.
Yeah.
At top speed, because that's how Canadians speak in the show.
Yeah, and with
that blade isn't venom, buddy.
Yeah, buddy, and gay, and friend. Yeah.
And they just keep going for 2 straight minutes of Shakespeare.
It's so funny.
It's fucking hysterical. It kills me every time. Anyway.
Oh yes.
And there is, and having seen a lot of Shakespeare in Canada, having done Shakespeare in Canada,
we
don't quite sound like that, but there's something about it that's right.
Yeah, they've like unlocked some sort of truth about Canadians that we still don't understand why it's right.
Good night, sweet prince, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest, guy.
Yeah. So good. So that was a great interview, and now we need to talk about what's going on with BB. He, is
baby.
Listen, BB is scaled. Shit's going on in Israel that for him, I think for the first time ever in like the last couple of years, I do feel like he's feeling the heat. The actual heat. I feel like there were, everyone from, the far right to these Zionist, liberal Zionists, like lefties, quote unquote, were all walking in lockstep behind him, because they had sobered up and decided, well, genocide can be done in a woke way. But now with people in the streets and actually protesting, for various reasons, but still protesting this government, he actually is feeling the heat. And so he's doing a bunch of, Western facing stuff, but he's also doing stuff like, the press conferences for Israelis as well. And he did
before you go into that, I just want to let me do the Jon Stewart thing. Hey, Israelis, join me at camera 4,
Yeah.
Just come a little closer. Okay. I want to say this again. It's really cool that you oppose Netanyahu. And quite frankly, I don't care why. You're probably beyond, like, as Miko said, you're probably not ready for that 5%. I'm not going to convince you if you don't see Palestinians as human.
Yeah.
But just do me a fucking favor, okay? While you oppose him and whatever, next time someone calls you for an opinion poll, just fucking don't agree with his entire fucking policy in Gaza.
Yeah.
Because I can't square those two things. If you want to undermine him, then start dissenting from what he does rather than being like, no, we love it. We just hate the guy. And make up your fucking mind.
If you hate the guy, you gain nothing. I mean, I understand you do like the genocide. I get that.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. But if you hate the guy,
this isn't high school. It's not a popularity contest.
At least work towards a purpose of, kicking him out and putting in your other most favorite genocidal freak, but like just do that. At the very least, tell the opinion people, no, and I'm against
show that you've lost confidence
people
in the army.
Yes.
Show that you don't agree with their plans or their tactics.
Yes. Otherwise, you are unhelpful at, I don't know, bringing down the very government that you claim to oppose.
Help us help you so that we can then destroy you.
Yes, exactly. Please help us end you.
God ends those who help themselves.
That's right. Oh, you give a man a fish, you know?
And he'll do something called gefilte to it.
Yeah. But teach a man to fish, and he'll eat it normal. I'm sorry. But yeah, so here's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu talking to his people.
In a democracy, protest is a legitimate thing. But what is happening at the funded, organized, political protests against the government has crossed every line. They are vandalizing property, blocking roads, making millions of citizens miserable.
Okay, I'm sorry. I really love the obviously protesting is great, but you guys are disrupting stuff. You know, you're doing vandalism. You're blocking roads. When I say protest, what I mean is sit and stew inside of your house.
Yeah.
Could you please?
We don't mean, we're not talking about radical things like civil disobedience.
No. Yeah,
what part of civil don't you understand?
Exactly.
Be nice about it.
And if you refuse to be civil, we'll treat you like a Palestinian civilian.
I'm talking about giving a slight sassy attitude to the next traffic cop who stops you, you know?
Right. Or just watching a different Israeli news program or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
you have a remote control. You can easily flip from 12 to 14
channels.
or 14 to 12, as the case may be. You have options.
It depends on how you feel. Back and forth, in and out forever. Here we go.
Chasing after public officials and their children to kindergartens and schools. They threaten daily to kill me, the Prime Minister, and my family. They are also involved in arson. They said they would surround my house, the Prime Minister's
He's
house.
calling out Arsen Ostrovsky by name?
Different guy.
Oh.
They said they would surround my house, the Prime Minister's house, with a ring of fire, just like fascist militias. So they set fire on Harlot Street right next to the house. This fire also burned a car. The car belongs to a captain in the reserves, Yoav Berishi, who is the grandson of Yaakov Neiman.
I'm sorry.
It's the worst vice principal guilt trip I've ever seen.
I know, but I also am I have some questions about what happened here. You're saying that they're burning houses down around you in order to make a ring of fire? Like, this does not hold water. It's not past the smell test. I don't believe that they were like, all right, in order to do this one act of arson, we got to do 9 acts of arson. That I just don't know. You know, that seems fake, but okay.
A wonderful finance minister and justice minister in the state of Israel. This year, Yoav served about 260 days. His third round, both in Gaza and in Lebanon. He serves as an officer in the Armored Reconnaissance Unit, and he has 3 daughters.
And you burned his car. You burned it.
Well, they burned the car, and his wife cannot take the children, so they volunteered to fund the purchase of a new car. Don't do us any favors. Don't make us laugh. You talk about democracy. You speak and behave.
Hold on.
Exactly.
The protesters volunteer? No, stop doing that. Don't volunteer to buy a new car.
Camera 4.
Yeah. Israelis. When you commit acts of arson or civil disobedience, don't then crowdfund for them to get a new sedan. Okay? Have the courage of your convictions, even if it goes farther than you thought. Show no mercy, show no apology. What are you doing?
Exactly. That was great. I love it. Here we go.
What is happening here is simple. There is no enforcement. And when there is no enforcement, there is escalation. Indeed, they started by breaking through barriers, then attempted to breach fences, and then they shot flares that almost set my house on fire. To death next to my house. And now they are making a ring of fire. Where is the enforcement? It does not exist. There is no selective enforcement here. There is no enforcement at all. And this must change. This is what I demand from law enforcement agencies. This is what the people of Israel demand to maintain democracy here.
Damn, man. Can you imagine how, like, scary it must be to have your house almost get destroyed? You know what I mean?
To have fires breaking out all around you.
All around you. I mean, cars
Flares
burning
shooting
up
at your house.
Too. I can't.
Did that? I hope the protesters at least knocked on the roof first.
Yeah.
Send them a pamphlet.
Yeah, send a pamphlet. Give a call. You know, call them up. Say, hey, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna burn your family alive if you don't run. You know,
Tell
something
him, give him
polite.
evacuation orders to the the west bathroom in the mansion.
The west bathroom. Oh man, but yeah, that is it is. Listen, I'm like cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously encouraged by these any acts that are happening against this government, especially Netanyahu.
Where they have to feel the pain.
Yes, they have
You
to
can
feel
tell
the
he's
heat.
you can tell he's feeling the pain. You can actually tell. And first of all, shout out to the fucking AI dubbing. That was uncannily his voice.
I hate it.
It's terrible how good it is.
Yes, I don't like how good AI can be. It
really is awful. And
it's going to
producer Adam
destroy yes.
He's just a ruthless. He doesn't advocate vocally for it, but he just does really good AI shit that makes me
listen, it's like we need to get this translated, and now they have an app for it. And to be honest, if AI is going to be used for anything, being used for that is, I think, a great use of it. I just hate that they're going to be able to make videos of me saying all of the things that Adam keeps writing that I'm saying.
Look, look. Do you want to learn Mandarin Chinese, or do you want to be able to, just put out a video in English hailing our new rulers, and then have it easily translated into the new
a good point
colonial language of our land?
But
what I was going to say is, I mean, you can.
And
tell
if I were going to learn, I would learn Gondowa, Cantonese.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah. Well, it doesn't have so much.
I hope there were some listeners who know Cantonese and are giving me a round of applause.
How do you say 4 out of 10 in Cantonese?
I don't know. I only know how to say Gondowa.
What does it mean? Cantonese?
Cantonese.
Wow, that's meta. That's like lingual inception.
No big deal.
I was going to say that that this is getting to Netanyahu because on the heels of that rather sweaty,
quite sweaty
desk video,
desk piece,
he actually put out a music video
to
go with it, and we have a clip from it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll play the entire song at the end, but we were only able to get at this point a clip of half of the music video
that he released himself. Here it is.
War is my favorite thing. It excites my ding-a-ling. But now, these cowards and liars, they've put me in a ring of fire. He used the phrase twice. Help me out of this burning ring of fire. You traitors belong behind barbed wire, and it burns my ass. This ring of fire, this ring of fire. Come on, everyone. You're just playing into Amalek's hands here.
Really fantastic work by Benjamin Netanyahu.
Excellent. Yeah.
Truly beautiful. I mean,
his producer Adam did a great job on that.
Producer Adam.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that is.
And shout out to Netanyahu for including a Chuck Berry reference in there. His ding-a-ling,
That's right. Yeah, I want you to play with my ding-a-ling.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's done a few more things. He did one recently, another Hezbollah drop, for the West, in which he interviewed Brandon Tatum. Who is he's a black conservative radio host, essentially. Like his whole thing is like, what if a black guy was conservative, which is it's a brand. And he had him on.
Not exactly original.
Yeah, no, definitely not an original brand, but hey, listen, we've all done media in which we are traitors to our people, so game recognized game.
And I guess in fairness, the black conservatives have never really occupied a very influential position. Supreme Court, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Fucking talk radio. That's where you're going to influence people. They've never been influencers.
That's right. That's where the money is. But yeah, he went on to...
In America, how do you do a Cuban accent? First, you get the podcast.
Oh, I see. Oh,
then you get the...
First, you'll get the podcast.
The podcast. Then you get the subscribers.
Yeah.
Then you get the protein shake endorsement deal.
Yeah.
Then you get the power.
Then you get the hymns, dick pills. Sorry, that was Russian. And then you get the women. Her woman's so fucking polluted. That's how I get into character for anything Cuban. Her woman's fucking polluted. Anyways, he did an interview with him. And it's crazy getting an interview with Benjamin Netanyahu, and it's
especially when you don't come from the Nelk family.
Right. If you're not a Nelk boy, then who are you? And
proud member of the Nelk Lodge.
Yeah, 2% Nelk. Yeah, but he did this interview, and this is just wild to post, and I just gonna play it. No comment. Just play.
In Israel, if you actually talk to the majority of Christians, talk to them, you'll see what they say. They say Israel is the only place where we're respected and protected.
And I can attest to that as a Christian who went to Israel. I spent 2 weeks there with the church, and we had an incredible time. We had only one incident where a small child spit on one of the pastors, and immediately after, there was an adult that came by and said, "That's not a representation of who we are. We love you guys. You guys are always welcome here." And I have to say, no adults gave us any grief. We had no issues whatsoever.
BB is thinking the most racist shit right now.
BB is right now going like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You're going to mention the spitting?" Oh, that is so great. No, we had a really wonderful time, in Berlin this past year. I only had one incident of someone calling me a kike and then spitting in my eye. It was truly beautiful. And, as opposed to my regular life in which left and right people are spitting on me, calling me Heeb, saying I live in Jaime Town, It is. So
I'm just trying to imagine what's going through Brandon's mind as that question is coming at him, because he knows he has this. He's like, and he starts with, "I can attest to that," but then he can't block the memory of that out. So he spins it as it only happened once, and it was a small child, and there was an adult present who came along and said, "That doesn't represent who we are."
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Please don't tell the internet that I was mad. That's all.
Please don't tell Benjamin Netanyahu that this happened.
Yes, please. Oh man, it's just so funny to literally, after getting spit on by a child, have an interview with the prime minister and try to spin that as one of the many blessings of visiting this land is the very small amount of spitting in the face you'll have.
Especially since the prime minister's claim was Christians will tell you nowhere are they more respected.
Right.
What do you think the average number of getting spat on by a small child happens in the following countries? Greece,
right?
South Africa,
yes,
Paraguay,
Yes.
Canada. In fact, every country on earth. What's the country that is most likely
Right.
that's not a religious theocracy of the enemy?
Right.
And even then, I don't think Christians get spat on anywhere but Israel.
I don't think it gets spat on in fucking Egypt or getting spat on in Lebanon or getting, spat on in Syria. Like the idea that like there's going to be sectarian violence, religious violence, of course exists. But let's be very clear about why they were being spat on in the market in Jerusalem. That is a thing.
But also,
that happens.
But do you know that like actually Jewish spit is a power up for holy water?
Oh shit, that's crazy.
You add a little bit of that, and it becomes so much holier.
It's a force multiplier.
Yeah.
As soon as you got a little bit of the Jew spit in the holy water, then Jesus loves you extra.
Yeah, it's a huge power up.
it's called a reverse mikvah. Oh my god. But yeah, that like I love that. I love including that. I love and also shout out to Brandon for, not being able to help himself and just being like, well, I did get spit on by a child. Oh God, and
I'll never wash that cheek again.
Yeah, exactly. It was I'll
never wash that.
Very special spit. Okay.
Yeah.
The fact that it was a child also, you really have to consider that that's more than one person involved in that spit. You know what I mean? You think that kid himself is just like, no. He's an extremist in the fucking kindergarten. He's a real psycho, in the sandbox.
On his report card.
Yes. Right.
Yossi is displaying strange and completely unprecedented racial bigotry and Jewish supremacy.
Yeah.
We're very concerned about this.
Yes. Is there something going on in the home? Specifically the home for all the Jewish people of the world.
Is there something going on in the homeland?
Right.
What's his homeland life like?
Exactly. Oh man. Yeah. Just beautiful. It's beautiful. Finally, I want to end with another happy thing. It's always nice to have these wonderful happy moments.
It's been a feel-good week, not in the news cycle, but on this show. I mean, having kind of elder statesmen like Tony Karan and Miko Peled to have like really engaging conversations, and then having a brand new, late summer bop like BB's Ring of Fire drop, and now what we're about to show. It's good times over here.
It's very nice. As horrifying and terrible as things are, it is always nice to have the small moments that can kind of unite us. And this is one of them for those of you out there who are big Downton Abbey stans, which I am. My family.
Oh, I thought you were going to play the other thing. We have a second one after this. Go for it.
What? Oh, we
Our
do?
Friends on the Water.
Oh, yes. That's right. Okay, so first, just we should talk about Our Friends on the Water. I think let's start with that because it is truly like awesome to watch, and we're going to actually release a bonus interview next week with Greg Stoker, who is currently on one of the many flotillas that are right now sailing to Gaza. But it's been like what?
Well, just any flotilla that Greg Stoker is on is called the IDF. It's the IDF ain't shit.
Yeah, exactly.
He's Pablo Schreiber on the fucking carousel, going, Israeli soldiers ain't shit.
Yeah.
That's what he does. Like I love military guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, guys, here's the fucking deal. This is an incompetent army. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And he breaks down all this military terminology. I don't know, but it leaves you feeling like you're dealing with a paper talker.
Yeah. And someone who gets it too. But so we have two friends of the pod on these flotillas that are out there. One of them is Greg Stoker, and one of them is Tyke fucking Hickey, baby. Tyke is sailing right now, and we are, hoping for the best, wishing him the best.
Mm-hmm.
He's having kind of a rough time right now. And he recently.
And we don't just mean dermatologically.
No, yeah.
Out there in the sun. I posted to him because every day he gets progressively like wrinklier and crispier.
It's the Irish curse.
Yeah, and I said to him, "You're crisping up, laddie, down to the keel with you." And he said, "I can hear your deplorable Irish accent from here."
I can hear him saying deplorable in the way he would say it. Oh, it's nice. But yeah,
what did he call your Irish accent? Very worthy or very?
I forget.
He used some great descriptor.
Yeah, he loved it. But yeah, here is a video of him tying on one of the flotillas, kind of having a rough time, and I just figured, I'd play it just so people, could know that, reach out to him and let him know that, everything's going to be okay. Yeah.
It's with great sadness to say that I don't think I'm actually going to be able to take part in the global smooth flotilla. It's been a tough couple of days, to be honest with you, but I was willing to accept the nausea, constant seasickness, people snoring in my room, being away from my kids, ultimately probably conceivably ending up in the custody of the most psychopathic army the world has ever seen. I put up with all that, but I mean, everyone has their limit.
Behind him, there's a Union Jack.
There's a fucking British flag.
Stop the boats.
Stop the boats. Oh, I fucking love him so much, man.
He's great.
It's so great, and it is super cool to see so many of the friends we've made in the last couple of years doing this, and being active, not just being voices on the internet. Not that is nothing, but it's the closest to nothing that you can get, and it's just very, very cool. Of course I was totally gonna go, but then I was just I gotta do my podcast. I'm brave though. I would go. Some people are braver than I. I'll say that.
I would too, but the thought of 4 or 5 or 6 Matt only episodes. I mean, producer Adam can only fill in so much, and then you'd probably have to find a replacement guest, and it'd probably be someone really good. And by the time I got back, I'd be out of a gig. And
oh, that's what you're concerned about? I was thinking by the 6th episode, it's just me, talking to a Hadid and just going, you ever watch The Sopranos? Yeah.
You holding your cat up in the shot.
Yeah. Check this out. Anyways, things are fucked up, huh?
Free pussy Stein, am I right?
Yeah, exactly. From my butthole to my D, am I right? Listen, I've lost the ability to do the show on my own, so I'm very grateful. But truly though, I do think that the former guests we've had who are doing the global Samud flotillas are brave as shit and very cool. For sure. And if they sail one out from the west coast of the United States, I'm down to do it. And I think it's just awesome. And we'll talk to Greg Stoker next week to see how it's going out there for him. But before we go, one more piece of good news, which is that for those of you out there who love Downton Abbey, and I'm one of those people, Dana, do you? It's
pronounced downtown, Matt.
It's absolutely.
It's about a woman who lives south of 14th Street, and her name is Abby.
Yep.
And she, every episode is a different snafu with the subways.
That's right. That's what it's. No, it's not. It's about a lord named Grantham and his wacky lord family. It's a BBC drama about how hard it is to live in a castle, essentially.
And also the servants, right?
And the servants who live there and work there. And it's so good. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. And the third movie, the final in the Downton Abbey movie trilogy, is coming out next week. And while he was doing a press junket for it, Hugh Bonneville, who is the actor who plays the head of the household, Lord Grantham.
Most aristocratic ass name in the movie industry. Yeah. Besides Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch and Hugh Bonneville.
Benedict Cumberbatch, another based Palestine supporter, apparently, as well.
Oh, really?
I think he's involved with the Wembley Brian Eno event. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. We gotta get Cumberbatch on the pod, dude. I love it. Hello, it's me, Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's uncanny.
Is
His
that
upper
right?
class British accent.
It's me, the guy who plays Smaug.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Me play the dragon in one of the Hobbit movies. Yeah.
Adam says, "Don't tell him I call him Bendy Dick Cucumber Patch."
Hell yeah, I'm gonna tell him. So, anyways, Hugh Bonneville was being interviewed. Total fluff interview for the premiere of this movie, and he it just like beautiful. He took a moment to say something, and I have to give credit where credit is due.
On the final chapter of Downton Abbey, and who better to speak to about that than Hugh Bonneville, who's been there from the very start.
Hello, good evening. Before I talk about the fluff and loveliness of our wonderful film, what's about to happen in Gaza City is indefensible.
All right, I just for those watching, you gotta look at the face of the presenter. I feel kind of bad for her because she doesn't run whatever fucking shitty, entertainment show this is. Like
this will be on her record forever.
Yes, she immediately is like, no, please, not me.
It's the Ralph Wiggum in slow motion moment where you see his heart, leave his body.
Yes, I feel bad for her because she absolutely did not want to be a part of that moment. Because listen, people get
the
fired
minute
for
he
this
called
shit.
it fluff.
Yeah.
She knew something was up. The
Yeah,
fluff and loveliness.
Like fluff? What do you mean? This is what I do. It
I'm a
has to be
fluffer.
Yeah, I'm a fluffer. Professionally, I fluff movies that were made out of BBC series.
I fluff egos.
Yes. All right, here.
Of our wonderful film, what's about to happen in Gaza City is indefensible. The international community must do more to bring it to an end. Downton Abbey is a lovely film. And
Free Palestine, free Palestine, from the river to sea. Now you really have to know the song in order to enjoy this remix. Oh,
Downtown Pally. Or Downtown Pally.
Beautiful. That's it. Downton Pally. Seriously though, shout out to Hugh Bonneville.
Adam writing that one down.
Just episode name ideas. It's beautiful. I am very happy because Francesca and I have tickets to see Downton Abbey, the final chapter when it comes out next week, as a little birthday present for her. And now I can just fully enjoy it, knowing that the cast are not scumbags. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Or at least one person in the cast is, and I'm sure the rest of them aren't either, because I love that show and I give them the benefit of the doubt.
I'd love to hear a Maggie Smith takedown of Netanyahu or Smotrich or
God.
Ben-Gvir.
Yes.
A dry as a biscuit read of
Yes. Yeah. Oh man. Yes. The Dowager Countess just doing a read on BB. it would be so fucking great. R.I.P. to a real one, Maggie Smith. Oh, she was the best. Best character in television, by the way.
She's dead.
She died. But on that show,
Well, we should contact her agent anyway. We'll see what's possible.
Yeah,
maybe AI can do it for us.
AI,
Shit.
or maybe computer. What's the thing? Projection.
Hologram.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be sick. But until then, you guys should watch Downton Abbey. It's a good ass show. And I think this has also been a good ass show. You know what I'm hoping for? I'm hoping that Miko watches this episode and then waits for the commercial break to see what else we talked about. And then it's just like, what the fuck? But Miko was great.
I think he's into it. I think he's
yeah, I know. Of course he does. I'm just I'm always putting on airs for my elders and my betters. Thank you to Miko who came out and spoke with us. Thank you to all of you out there. Patreon.com/badhasbara. Thank you for joining the Patreon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. badhasbara@gmail.com for all your questions, comments,
What
and
is
concerns.
fraught? Why is it called
Fraudcast is also frauding is frottage. It's when dicks.
Right, because in French, frotter means to rub. That's what.
Yeah.
So that's literally what it. Okay, good.
Yeah,
That was my association.
It's a metaphor for podcasting. What is podcasting but doing frottage? Am I wrong?
No.
That's right. Badasbar@gmail.com for all your questions, comments, and concerns. All right, everyone. Thanks again so much for listening. And until next time, from the river to the sea.
We love Mati's son, generally.
Oh, I love
and
that.
specifically.
Yeah. Yes. And romantically.
And erotically. And neurotically. War is my favorite thing. It excites my ding-a-ling. But now, these cowards and liars, they've put me in a ring of fire. Help me out of this burning ring of fire. You traitors belong behind barbed wire, and it burns my ass. This ring of fire, this ring of fire. Come on, everyone. You're just playing into Amalek's hands here. Focus. Eyes on the prize. The taste of blood is sweet. Genocide's almost complete. But these peaceniks cannot abide it. Hey, buddy. Don't Nakba it until you've tried it. Why put me in a burning ring of fire? I'm a white Polish Jew and I don't like to perspire. And it belongs in Gaza. This ring of fire, this ring of fire. Come on, Chevre, I'm not the enemy. I'm not your enemy. The enemy is an infant in an incubator in Gaza. It's a pregnant mother. It's a disabled man in a wheelchair in Khan Yunis. You know who the enemy is. Come on, Chaverim, let's be friends. We're all Jews here.